Steven Railston, senior United reporter at the Manchester Evening News, and from my experience, a very accomplished fullback. Hello.
How you doing, Steve? A very nice introduction there. Obviously referring to the press game. Was it in the end of May or the start of June? Actually, I think it was. It was a bit later than usual. A rare point, a rare draw for the journalists. It was a good performance. It was a good game.
Yeah, you absolutely nullified me, and as I've said before, I'm very good at nullifying myself, particularly on the left wing. So well done.
You're too kind.
So I had to get in touch. Obviously, I saw your story earlier on Kobie Mainoo, and since it's your news, would you like to summarise?
Yeah, so essentially, I was told a few nuggets of information about Kobie Mainoo the other day. So put out a story this morning. Essentially, that he's determined to win his starting role back at United. He has slipped down the pecking order under Ruben Amorim. We all know what a talent he is. Last season, there were a few injuries and concerns about where he'd fit into Amorim's system. And then in pre-season, Amorim used him in a deeper role, didn't he? After experimenting with him even up front last season and in one of the number 10 roles. So it seemed that would be his role. But he's yet to start in the Premier League. We've seen that. He obviously got his first start of the season against Grimsby in the Carabao Cup. We don't need to talk about what happened in that game. We all know that result. I actually thought there were some bright sparks from Mainoo in that game. It's difficult to kind of say that because it was such a bad game for United and such a shocking result. And then again, when he came on against Manchester City, actually in the 3-0, I thought there was some bright sparks again. So from his perspective, he's been limited in the Premier League. He wants to play. And I've been told that he is doing all the right things to play. Naturally, he was very disappointed in the final week of the window because he did request a leave on loan. That was denied by the club. But the promising thing is, and the reassuring thing is he has reacted to that disappointment in the manner that everyone would want a young player to react. So he's even changed his private chef at home, which I thought was an interesting little nugget. And he worked with a private coach during the September international break. So really, it just kind of caught my attention because it's all the right things, as I say, that you want to hear. If a player loses their place, especially a young player, he's knuckling down, he's working hard, and hopefully we'll see him back in that starting team sooner rather than later.
And that's great news for everyone, really, isn't it? Because not, without chucking anyone under the bus, not every player would have reacted or in recent years has reacted in that way to that kind of challenge, have they?
And I've seen fans say that this morning, and it's really kind of relevant point, isn't it? Especially after Alejandro Garnacho. I know you said you didn't want to name names, joining Chelsea, and the reaction he got at the weekend, he probably didn't expect the kind of the level of that reaction, the scale of it really at Old Trafford. He was probably took him by surprise a little bit, but he shouldn't be surprised because of the way he acted last season and his quotes after the Europa League final. He wasn't playing. He was named on the bench, of course, for that game, came on with 20 minutes to go, and he came out and questioned the manager. There's a way to go about being disappointed, and there's a way to go about reacting to that. Garnacho didn't react in the right way, but by all accounts, Mainoo has. Again, he was disappointed. I will stress that. To kind of not leave on loan. I think his ideal situation would have been to leave just for the sake of regular minutes. But now the decision's been made. He's desperate to really impress Amorim, who has challenged him to improve.
You're a press conference regular at Carrington. Ruben tends to answer questions. You know, he doesn't hide. And he's had a lot of questions on Kobie, of course. He's been consistent with a couple of themes. Firstly, he believes in Kobie, but also he thinks there's a lot more to come from him. Is that a fair approximation from what you've seen?
I think it's sensible analysis, isn't it? He really got into Mainoo before the derby in the embargoed section. So I think if there was 7 questions, there was probably 4 or 5 on Mainoo. And it was really interesting. He's obviously answered on Mainoo quite a few times now, but I think that was the most detailed response that he gave. And he really got into his thoughts on his positioning, where he thinks he is in his development. And he has stressed it multiple times now that there is more to come. Kobie Mainoo isn't the finished article. He likes to tell us that you guys think he's the finished article. You think he's done. We're done. We accept that. Obviously, there is more to come from Kobie Mainoo. But my personal opinion, and you've watched him closely as well, Steve, over the last couple of years, he's a wonderful football player. Started for England, of course, at Euro 2024 in the final against Spain. And I think that's a key thing this season for Mainoo. From what I've been told, he's already got eyes on the World Cup in America. And that is a huge motivator. He's thinking, I really need to get into this team because I want to represent England. If you think how much of a kick in the teeth it would be to start at the Euro 2024 final and then not even make the squad for the USA, that would be really disappointing. So that obviously comes into it this season as well.
Ruben's spoken frequently about wanting his players to be fighting like throughout the squad this season, just because there's so few games, especially. He wants everyone fighting for involvement. He's also laid it out that Kobbie's in direct competition with Bruno, who is, the benchmark really for not only for ability but for endeavour and application, isn't he? So has all this been one big challenge to Kobbie to see how he reacts, do you think?
It could. It's genius if it is, because if Mainoo comes out of this spell and he forces his way into the team, everyone's going to say, "Wow, incredible management from Amorim." There is obviously the potential it goes the other way, and despite Mainoo's hard work, despite his best efforts, he still isn't getting those minutes that he's trying for, and he doesn't have a settled role in the team. It's going to be a fascinating next few months. I think Amorim said he was competing with Fernandes after the Fulham game, and I think that did raise eyebrows because, although it did make sense because of where he played them in pre-season, and I think with a view to this weekend, obviously Casemiro is going to be suspended, and the initial reaction was, well, is that going to benefit Kobie Mainoo, and will we see him at the GTEC Stadium at 12:30 on Saturday, starting in the team? But from what Amorim said, it's Ugarte and Casemiro competing, and then it's Fernandes and Mainoo competing. That inevitably raises the question, when will Mainoo play? Because we all know Fernandes is a guaranteed starter and he's such a fantastic football player, isn't
he? Yeah, I mean, displacing him is not going to be easy, is it, by any stretch? But I mean, in general terms, do you get the sense that Amorim's adopting long-term strategies in the way that he's maybe pushing the buttons of the players, kind of laying down a culture?
I think he wants, and from what I've been told about other young players as well in the academy, I think he really believes these young players need to fight for it and they need to earn it. And I think that's the message all fans would want to hear, really, from the manager of Manchester United. And that's kind of trickling down at all levels, from 21s to 18s. And the same will be applied for Mainoo. Had a fantastic breakout season. We all remember his debut at Goodison Park. That was amazing. His full Premier League debut, I should say, because he played against it was Charlton, wasn't it, earlier on that year in the Carabao Cup. So there is a challenge there for Mainoo, and Amorim's. I appreciate his honesty. I mean, he's always honest, and he's very good at press conferences. I hope fans appreciate that, because as journalists we do. And he spoke honestly about Mainoo, which is it's insightful to get his thoughts on him.
Brilliant. Stephen, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a busy man. You're off to Old Trafford now.
A pleasure, yeah, just for the 21s tonight. So they've made a fantastic start to their league season. They've won all 4 games. So hopefully a decent performance tonight. I imagine the likes of Chido, etc. will be involved. So it should be a relatively strong team.
Brilliant. Enjoy. Cheers.
Thanks, Steve.